This episode is to discover how to trip properly when you've overdosed on mushrooms.
I don't want to say overdose.
I'm Nikki Bon, and my friends always make fun of me because they say I live under a rock because I never know really much about anything. Not really current events, pop culture, politics. I just don't like scrolling the internet. It makes me feel bad about myself. So I'm gonna have my friends come on and fill me in on things I've missed, and I am gonna assess whether or not I even needed to know about that in the first place. Because sometimes it's really enjoyable being blissfully clueless. Welcome back to Blissfully Clueless. I just did a really animated intro just for you.
Thank you. It reminds me of the good old days.
The
Nikki
good old
Bon.
days. I got my recovering toxaholic sister here, Monarey Martinez.
Hi.
Hi.
My armpits are sweating.
I know, because she gets nervous. It's
I
like
get very
oh
nervous.
My God.
I know Nikki Bon is a lot to deal with, and I was like, "What doesn't she
There's
know?"
a lot going on. Okay,
She saw a dead body today.
I saw a dead body today.
You sure did. You sure did, and you did a good job.
I did a good job. Oh, it was not. It was rolling down the street.
Yeah.
It was on a walk.
Not by itself.
No, but it
Oh.
looked like it. I'm like, what? Why are you guys? They rushed past me with the dead body. It was already dead. I'm like, what?
What's the rush?
What's the rush? You're dead.
Well, they could be having to collect other dead bodies in the area.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. I'm sure they have
Oh
like
my
a
God.
route, like an Amazon delivery
Shut
driver.
the fuck up.
How many dead bodies do you think they have to collect a day?
One? Just one?
No, what?
You
Not
think-
one.
You think there's a dead body collector?
Well, yes, a fucking coroner. I'm sure. I remember one time when my friend shot himself in the head, and we had to like wait for the coroner, and it was just like, come on, they're supposed to come at like 8, and I'm like, these motherfuckers didn't come till 2, and they couldn't get the body out, and we're like,
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that's how dead bodies got taken out of homes. I thought the ambulance or whoever just took it. There's an actual,
coroner.
and
Yeah.
he doesn't just do one a day. He does a bunch.
I mean, we could look at the stats. I'm assuming, in a big city, Los Angeles County is about 10 million people. And if you do the numbers, I'm sure there's probably, 1,000 deaths a day. But like, I'm sure like based on,
God.
areas, maybe each area, you get 8 a day.
Oh my God, this is definitely a topic I didn't know about, and I don't need to, but I
I
will.
think you do. I'm kidding. I don't know enough
Oh my
about
God.
that either.
It
But
took how long to get your friend's dead
hours, like hours and hours. And then they like couldn't get, because he had a house and it was like 5 stories. And then they have an elevator, but it was broke. So they had to like take this dead body like down 5 flights of stairs, and they like couldn't get him out.
No.
Yeah. And they were like out down the stairs, like, okay, let's take a break. Let's take a break. And like the
body?
family's
God,
just
take
like,
a break.
yeah. And then it was funny because
Was he fat?
he's bigger. Yeah. He was like 6'3" and like, a little hefty. And then when they got his body to like the outside, I could see the coroners like making jokes to themselves, which I get, if your job is like,
Yeah, you gotta make the
taking
jokes.
you gotta fucking
Whoa.
make light of it. But I was like just watching them, and I was like so angry, and I was like, I can hear your jokes.
Oh my God.
But I'm like,
yeah,
it's
I
not their fault.
bet. Yeah, but still, this is like the Halloween episode.
Yeah,
Dead
yeah.
bodies.
Every day.
I honestly just thought, yeah, I guess it is like an Amazon delivery of dead bodies.
Yeah.
That's why he didn't care to hide the body from me.
No.
I was like, why are you? I was walking down the street looking at my phone, and then looked up, and then I thought he was rolling some luggage or something.
No, it's a dead body. And if you think about it, I'm like, I wonder. I mean, I guess they take him to an undertaker, like to a funeral home next.
Well,
Or-
that's why I looked at the car, and it was just a minivan.
Oh, and do you have to like have your own van, or is it? I would think they would like supply a vehicle.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a hearse. That's why I turned around.
No,
I was
that's
like,
for a funeral.
oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah, the coroners usually have like a sprinter van, like a van, but a minivan is interesting.
Minivan, and he like kind of smirked at me, like, haha, sucker, I showed you my dead body.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't, they're not compassionate.
They're desensitized, which it's like I get. Like I remember when I was about that friend that committed suicide, the cops were there, and he was like asking the wife, who her husband just shot himself in the head. He's like, do you have any creamer? Do you have any sugar? And I just looked at him. I go, hey, her husband just shot himself. This isn't a fucking hotel. She's not a waitress. relax. And he was like, I'm like, because the cop is just completely desensitized.
Cream or sugar?
Yeah. He's literally asking for shit. I was like, no.
That is crazy.
It's insane. Then they were outside and she had her car parked and they had all their coffee cups and their cups on top of her car. I walked outside and I went wham to all the fucking cups. I was like, get your shit off their stuff. Like,
wow.
You can't do that.
Oh my God. You should be the coroner police. Also, when you said cream, I honestly at first thought you meant body cream. I was like, I guess his hands were dry. I was like, that's crazy.
He's writing down all the clues. He's like, my hands are a little itchy.
He's like, can I get? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid of death, and so that freaked me the fuck out. But I also laughed.
Did a good job. Yeah,
I did a good job. Maybe so. I have Monterey here to tell me about mushrooms, but because I had the mushrooms and how this episode is to discover how to trip properly when you've overdosed on mushrooms.
I don't want to say overdose. Like, that's intense.
I felt like I overdosed,
Yeah.
but I didn't. But I'm here to learn about how to deal with this next time because she was giving me advice and I was like, you got to come on Blissfully Clueless and share this wisdom because what happened was I'll give the breakdown and then you can jump in of what I should have done.
Do your thing.
I did mushrooms at a party.
Tell them how much. Yeah.
Okay. So we do mushrooms.
We do
mushrooms.
We do them.
We do them.
We're cool.
Yeah, take a couple shrooms here and there.
Put them on my pizza. Do things with the shrooms, okay?
Sprinkle them on the tongue.
Yum yum.
And I wish my tongue could go squiggly for that. Anyways, I just wanted it to be like a
It's squiggly.
I wanted it to be like.
Ew.
Okay.
Okay.
I've seen a dead body today. Whatever.
You're like, whatever.
It is getting hot in here. But it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went to a party and they had mushroom chocolates and she said the birthday girl who is
Don't ever trust a birthday girl when she's doing drugs.
You know what? I really should have realized
I can't believe
that.
as a white woman who likes to drink.
It is a party starter.
How do you
and
not
a
know
party
that?
bully.
You don't ever trust the birthday girl
was-
when she's handing out drugs.
Oh my God.
Rule number 1, kids. Write that down.
I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
what I'm trying to tell you.
Blissfully stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I said, how much is it? She goes, it's just like a gram per square. And I was like, okay. So I took a square and then my friend took a square too. And then all of a sudden half an hour later, my friend's like, oh my God, I'm seeing all these crazy things. And I was like, I'm not. But I had been drinking and I was having a good time. If I really break it down, I did not need to go in there like a little fucking squirrel and take some more.
You got greedy.
I got greedy.
You got greedy. You're like, what? You're seeing things? I want to see things too.
I did. I wanted to see all the things. Mm-hmm. And part of me didn't feel like it was even myself doing it. I just felt like I was being taken. It was like the devil was on my shoulder and was like, yeah, go. And I remember opening up the chocolates again and looking and being like, I'll take half. And then he was like, no, take a whole one. I was like, yeah, I'll take a whole one. And I took a bite and then I was like, take it all. And I was like, yeah. And then I remember putting my mouth and thinking, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. I've had
How long did it take to kick in? When did you notice it started to get horrible?
I think, that's a good question. Probably 20 minutes. But what probably happened was the first one was kicking in.
Yeah.
And then the second one started to. And then I was fine for a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I probably 45 minutes later, half an hour. It's hard to tell the time because I went to a different planet. But all of a sudden I felt nauseous. And I've heard about the shroomy nausea.
Yeah.
And then I went home. I kept saying I was nauseous, and then the birthday girl was so funny. She was she'd come up to me and go, ha, in my face, which is something
Terrifying.
I would do, but
Yeah.
I would do it, be like, sucka. And I was like, I'm so nauseous. And then she got me yogurt, and then my mom was like, ew, you smell like vanilla yogurt. And she's going, get away from me. And I'm on shrooms going, Mom,
Yeah,
stop.
Mom, I don't feel good. Also, why are you at a party with your mom? They don't know that part. Yeah. But
Oh
she
yeah,
partied with her mom.
it was like a family friends party. And then I went home. I won't go too into this second step because I want you to explain stuff.
Yeah.
But then I went home and I was up. I didn't sleep until 4:00 the next day. I was up all night with the worst pain. I could feel it moving through my body. And then I was nauseous the whole time. And then finally...
But tell them, like, what were some of the bad things you're experiencing, like, feeling, so they, like, know what kind of, like, trip you're having.
Well, I would be at the party and I'd be having a fun old time. And then all of a sudden the nausea would hit and I'd be like, ooh, I don't like this feeling. And then I would look around and there was some great people at the party. Like there was one girl who I was like, I'm nauseous. And she was like helping me. Like she was such a good soul and was like, don't worry, man. To the point that
I don't feel good. It's all good. She
was like, you're good. You're good. Like just so. And I was like, I am good. And I was so high that like I was laughing. She had her finger up and I went, ha. And then I bit her finger. Like crazy high.
Totally bit my finger. That little kid, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But even if I didn't, I wouldn't say that I didn't.
I was like, does she know that reference? Yeah.
I think Matt showed me. Yeah, Charlie bit my finger.
He bit my finger.
Yeah. Good thing I knew that. That was a close one. And so then I started to see, like, I wasn't seeing, like, the trees moving. I was just on a different planet. But I started to see they weren't necessarily bad people, but
Bad qualities.
Yeah. I was at an LA party, so there are some famous people there, and I could see the people like swarming them and being like,
yeah, like having negative intentions like based on someone's like status or like money and like how that was like influencing people's behavior.
They seemed really demony. And it's interesting because the people that I got along with, like the girl who I bit her finger, she's known these people.
She's like, I didn't get along with you bit my finger.
I'm like, well, she's known them for like over 15 years. So that's a real friend.
Right.
The people that were like newer friends, I just felt like the demons. I was like, ooh, and I was like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable energy.
Yeah. And then, so I felt that. I felt like, all these bad, like, it was very Halloween-y. Like, it was really like, ooh, icky.
Just like low frequency. Energy.
Yeah. And then I went home and I couldn't figure out how to use my remote control.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and my stepdad is there. I got in the car. The dog was in the car. I just started crying because the dog was there.
Yeah.
I lost my mind. I was like, this is my psychotic break. I took videos of myself.
What did you think was psychotic? Like when you say I'm on another planet, like what were you feeling in that moment that you're like, this is bad?
That I would walk around and I couldn't ever see reality. Like everything was like blurry. My emotions were all over the map.
Yeah.
I couldn't ever get grounded. And it just felt like I was in a dream.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. I was on the dance floor and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is a funny dream. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't a dream. Like this is reality.
Yeah.
And people can see me right now and they're going to remember this. And it was like, so it was when I went to my mom's and I was tweaking out and they were like, okay, get her a bowl. Like they're just being chill and like, get her a bowl. And I'm like, I can't. I just felt like I wasn't ever going to get back to normal. And I couldn't, my thoughts were like, I was trying to like concentrate on the TV, but then I would be in pain. And then I would like all of a sudden like think I would go into my emotions, but then there was just, it was more so just not being able to ever get grounded or see reality.
Right.
So
like, did you feel stuck where you're like, oh, like I'm never gonna, like I'm stuck in this like reality and now like I broke my brain?
Yeah. I actually haven't watched a video.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh no.
Why is this colored? This is my vow.
This is my vow.
Your vow.
That adventure time is the best time ever. I want to create something like it so it helps people.
What?
Oh, you said adventure time is the best time
ever.
And what?
And I want to create something like it so I can help people when they trip this hard.
I mean, it sounded like you were kind of like living in the moment. Like,
I took way too many mushrooms. I've never taken this much in my whole entire life.
hold it up to the microphone.
And dogs save your life. You didn't answer me. Do you want Bowie to come with you?
So I felt this a lot. I felt a lot of like deep breaths and like, I need help.
It's now 2:30 and I love mushrooms. I officially hate them. I will never do mushrooms.
Not true.
You know, they're like, oh, you get through, like, it's just a breakthrough. I'm like, what are we breaking through? I got nothing besides looking like Zorro. Your mustache is not great.
How did you get Zorro out of that? What? He wears a mask. Literally, how did you wear it?
I haven't watched these. I think because my face, like my mustache was like shadowed. Look at that. Look at that.
That's hilarious.
See, that's pretty. Look at that Zorro mustache coming through.
That's so funny.
Okay, so
That's so funny.
that I feel like I've talked too much, but I was just deep breaths and like, and I'm normally anxious, but I wasn't even anxious. I was just in so much pain in my stomach. And then when I went upstairs and tried to go to bed, first I'll get you to explain what the pain is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can go.
This is just my interpretation. Like, obviously, I don't know everything. But when you.
First time in my life.
Okay. When she's getting PTSD, you're like, oh, no. Yeah.
I just saw that.
That's how I feel every day. She voice memoed me and she was like, yeah, she's like, I took the poison and I could feel the poison like moving through my body and yada yada yada. And like the first thing that like struck a chord to me, I was like, plants are medicine. And so I was like, I wouldn't see it as poison. Like I would see it as, because she was sick like a few days before that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
True.
so I was like, for me, like what I've learned, like I wouldn't call myself a psychonaut, which is like someone who like has tons of experiences with psychedelics, but I definitely have a lot of experience with psychedelics.
You do psychedelics on your own. That's experience.
That's experience. But I would say that plant medicine is something that like, one, it gives you like what you need, not what you want. And two, it's something that like it highlights like what's already in you. So she was sick. So that means like she had like, you know, low frequency, bad energy, just like, you know, just from being run down and sick. And so like these shrooms are like moving that through you. So like anytime when you do any psychedelics, especially like a good amount, like if you do ayahuasca or if you do DMT or if you do mushrooms, if you do, I was about to say mezcal, what's the fucking peyote? There's another one that starts with the M, but, a lot of the times like people experience nausea and they experience like combo, like you shit and you throw up, and it's because your body's like purging, because, you know, as human beings, like we are constantly poisoned by like all the shit like in the goddamn atmosphere, in our water, in our food, whatever. Like we're not eating like whole fresh foods all the time. And so when you take a psychedelic, like it's going to purge all that shit out of you, and you're going to assume like, oh no, like it's the drug that's doing this, like, and it's like, no, it's the drug that's the catalyst to like help get this shit like out of your body. And it's the same thing when people like smoke weed and they're like, weed gives me anxiety. And it's like, no, weed doesn't give you anxiety. You have anxiety, but you're able to operate and function because you're constantly, you know, doing other things to dismiss it or sweep it under the rug or whatever, be in routine. And weed starts to like highlight certain elements, bless you. And so do psychedelics, so do mushrooms. So when you're like, oh no, this gave me anxiety. Oh no, this gave me fear. And it's like, no, that is in you.
Damn.
And so that now is, you have these certain brain waves that have been broken down. And so now they're like, hey, you have to like fix this. It's like just having a flashlight like put on like a certain part of you. And you're like, hey, this is all gunk. And then you're like, wait, it's the psychedelics. And it's like, no, that shit's in you.
Well, that's why I was like, okay, my mom gave me a prescription nausea pill. Didn't work. And in my head, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I have to work through whatever the fuck this is. Like the fact that a prescription nausea isn't working. I was like, you motherfuckers. So I kept being like, okay, what is it? What do I need to work through? What do I need to work through? And it was, when I shut my eyes, it was like kaleidoscope. And I'll just say it like I'm telling you for the first time.
Of course.
And I was shutting my eyes. I like remember getting into my bed. I watched Adventure Time for a little bit and I'd be like, and then my mom would come in and be like, what the fuck are you watching? And I was like, cartoons.
You are a cartoon.
I know. And then the dog is like pawing at me, being like, it's okay. And I was like, oh God. And then when I went upstairs, I got into my bed. I was like, ooh, I'm in my comfy, cozy bed. Everything is fine. Because you've guided me through acid before, and Monarey is so good at that. And she guided me through. So I like had all these tools that she taught me. And I was like, everything's fine. I'm safe. And then all of a sudden the poison, what I'll call the poison, like it came in again. I was like, oh God. And then I shut my eyes and it was Kaleidoscope Town, which is nice. I liked that. I was like, all right, let's go. And then it felt like I had all these, like all of a sudden I like saw all these rappers, and I was like, I couldn't even tell you who they were. It just had like rapper energy. And I remember being like, are there dead rappers here right now? And then all of a sudden it just felt like the Kaleidoscopes was the energy of rappers. And I do love rap and like and just comforted me, and I felt like I was in a cocoon of rapper energy.
You want to be a groupie ass hoe, but you're married. That's what it is. Like, she wants to be a hoe. She wants to go backstage, throw that thong at her favorite rapper. She can't do it.
I had all my rappers protecting me, and I was like, wow. And then I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That was one chapter.
Yeah. So what I would say, so like I was like telling her that it's like, so when you see things like on an energetic level, so energy is like, it's a archetype energy. So when we're human beings, like we make everything into like what we've been taught, like through our environment, through our school, through our friends. So if she's a person who really likes rap, you're gonna see comforted energy like based off of like the things that you like.
That's crazy though. That is rap.
It's good.
It's like not Santa Claus.
I'm actually surprised it wasn't Santa Claus. But the reason why I think it wasn't Santa Claus is because I think it was your spirit guides trying to communicate with you, like, hey, there's a team, there's a group of us, and like you're safe. And like not only are you like safe, but like because what you think of like when because you're friends with like Killer Mike or whatever, and like when you're like with like your friends of like rappers, or when you're like around that group, like there's something that you're like, oh, I feel connected, I feel protected, and I feel like I resonate with something with you, like no matter like what we look like, or no matter like how different our background is.
That was very much my childhood.
Yeah.
And like even my friend Miles, who was a rapper, like totally.
Yeah. And so I think like these energetic entities are communicating to you like, hey, like we might not be of the same essence, we might not be of the same species, but you are interpreting this archetypal energy into something that you can process. You're like, oh, it's rappers, it's a team, it's a group of people that I feel comfortable with. Crazy. Like it's protection, it's, you know, it's my community, whatever. And a lot of the times, like when you alter your like consciousness, so some people see things and they see things like, you know, sacred geometry. Some people see things and it's more of like, you know, the Abrahamic religions like Judaism, Christianity, Islam, where it's like you're going to see, you know, beings like of that religion. Or people see things as like more science-based, where they're just seeing like beams of like light and energy. So it's like whatever you're kind of more comfortable with, your spirit guides are interpreting it so you can pick up and like understand the language. And so like I think your spirit guides were just like, hey, like we're your people, like we're here, we're communicating with you, we're communicating through you through rap because we know that's a reference that you like. It's like when someone gives you a metaphor. So if I'm like trying to teach you about, I was going to say Israel and Palestine, but we're going to cut that out.
She loves talking about that.
If you are a person and I'm trying to teach you about cooking, and I'm like, oh, Nikki, you know comedy. So I'm like, ingredients are like your audience, right? And you want to get all of your audience on the same page. So you have to make sure all these ingredients work together. So it's like, that's a way of like speaking in your language, comedy language, because you do comedy, that will help you understand. So spirit guides don't speak English. They don't speak our same language. So they're going to connect to us through familiarity, and your familiarity is rap.
Okay. Which is really beautiful, but like kind of disappointing, because I was like, oh, are all the dead rappers coming to like be my friends? I felt so special. And I do still, but like it would be super cool if they were like, no, you're one of us.
You're chosen.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You have to quit comedy because you about to drop some bars.
I thought it was like, you always knew you were friends with us. And I was like, yeah, I did. But so it's beautiful.
I'm sure
what
it could be that too.
It could be
yeah.
that. It's beautiful, but I'm like, oh, it's a bit disappointing. But good in a good way.
No, it could be a mixture of both for sure.
Okay. But what you said makes way more sense.
I mean, it can be both. Like it's all energy. So it's like however it feels good to you is your truth. So
okay, so here's my other question. It's like a little kernel. Okay, no, it's gone. It wasn't that big. Here's my other question then. Okay, because my other trips, like with acid, it was like learning. I learned the lesson with acid and with you that when I go higher, I stop myself. So I would hit a plane and I would be like, oh, I
explain to them what you mean by higher.
Okay, so when I did acid, there was a point where like everything went pink and I felt like I was floating in eternity and I was nothing anymore. And it was like the best feeling
Your oneness,
ever. I was oneness. And then I came back down to reality and then I tried to go back up there again. And I had like in my head, I was standing there and a guard was like, you can't go up there. And I was like, yes, I can. I just was there. Yeah. And they're like, no, you can't go up there. You have to do all these other things before you go up there. And I said that out loud. And she was like, no, you can go up there. That's your subconscious blocking you. That's what your thoughts are always saying. Like, you want to go somewhere and your subconscious is always saying like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's
and you
so
believed
true.
them.
And I believed them.
Yeah.
So I would get through. So when I was doing mushrooms, when I was tripping, and in bed in so much pain, I went through the wrapper blanket and that was so nice. And then I came back to reality again with my stomach. And the problem is if I got up to go to the bathroom, like reality isn't reality still. So it's like, it's different if you have stomach pain, but you can see things properly. But I couldn't see anything.
It's terrifying.
It is. And Nick, my stepdad, he's sleeping on the same floor.
I want a divorce. Ain't no kid gonna be doing this shit at 30 fucking 5. I want a divorce.
He did say to my mom at one point when I was like, Nick, how can you turn the TV on? I can't do it. He goes, all right, Karen, it's your daughter. You have to deal with her now. He's been like the nicest parent out of all my parents. And then he told me that.
Such a funny sentence to say out of all my parents. Divorce kid. I get it. Yeah, it's like, dude, we be cycling. Okay.
We got a lot of different parents.
Yeah. Out of all my parents over all the years. He's not the best dressed, but I'll say he's the nicest.
He's the most like, not the best dressed.
Totally. I'm saying
no,
you said that.
And so then he said that because the doors are like glass, but like faded glass. And the next day he was like, what?
Oh, no.
He was like, what were you doing with your flashlight? Did you have your
oh, dear God. What were you doing?
I needed like something out of my bag. And instead of turning the light on, I turned my flashlight on. So I was going through my room with my flashlight looking for things. And then I
turn the fucking light on. Yeah.
And then I had to go to the bathroom and I took the flashlight.
You're like that show. Do you remember that show on MTV, like Fear, and like the people have to like go through like the haunted house with the light? You're like, just turn the fucking lights on. What the hell?
That's what I was doing. It was like I forgot lights. I forgot about lights. So
you forgot about light energy. Totally. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. They wanted you in that darkness, girl, and you were listening.
I was listening. And that's why I'm saying like I wanted to get up here and I knew I could, there was that, but I was listening to the demons and I didn't know how to get out of it because the pain overtook
fear.
Yeah. So what do I do next?
That's why I always tell people, I'm like, dude, anytime you alter your consciousness, because like, and so in the, most basic sphere of fucking like everything that is light or dark. So matter, anti-gravity, negative, positive, feminine, masculine, like they're just always, it's polarity. It's always opposites of each other. So you're always going to have light. You're always going to have dark. Now, again, when we're like in this 3-dimensional world, we're just like so occupied. We're in our beta and alpha like brain states that like, we're just like, oh, there's a dog over there. Okay, let me like do the dishes. Da-da-da-da. Like we're not in these like higher like brain waves that we can process information around us like at like a real level. So when you see like light and dark, or when you're actually experiencing like light and dark, when you alter your consciousness, you have to assign like what and which way you're going. So people like that sounds like really like heebie-jeebie whatever, but anytime, this is my personal experience, and anytime I work with other people, they tend to have the same experiences as well. So like when you alter your consciousness, not meaning like you're traveling in like higher realms of consciousness, like you're not on this like regular plane, you are going to be met with like there's free will. So you don't know if you're connecting with light or if you're connecting with dark. So you always have to like make a command like, I am only connecting with love and light. I'm connected to divine source. I'm connected to God, like whatever feels like right to you. But you have to make that command, because when you're in that free will space, when you're just in like this energetic form, you open up yourself. That's why people are like, hey, don't fuck with Ouija boards. Hey, don't fuck with magic if you're like not experienced, because people don't know that it's like, it is a free for all. And
I felt like I was a free for all. I felt like I was like being fed.
Yeah. And these energies will come for you, because that's why spirits are called spirits, because when you take alcohol, you are altering your consciousness, and spirits can then come and they use your body as a host. And so that's why you do things that you normally wouldn't do. You say things that you normally wouldn't say. You know, are just not like in your normal like judgment to where you're making healthy, conscious, good decisions. So anytime you alter your consciousness, it's like you are now receptive. You're an open fucking portal for any energy to come to you. And so that's why a lot of the times when people are like, well, God told me to do this and God told me to do that, and you're like, what the fuck? These people are psychotic. They just murdered these people. You don't know. You're like, well, but I heard the voice. Like I heard the thing. It could be, you know, it could be anything. So like you have to make the command like, hey, and people who are like, oh, that's too woo woo. Okay, go alter your consciousness.
Well, I didn't say love and light, but I forgot that one. But I was saying like only my divine guides are allowed. Only my divine guides are allowed. And I could feel the like toying. Like
for sure.
Would, like when I said like the name Rena came, and that's when she was like, I'll heal the body. That's what I felt. Yeah. But then it would go away. But I think that also maybe the pain.
Well, it's like, it's the same thing of like, if someone comes up to you and they're like, I love you. And you're like, you don't love me. The feeling has to match the words. So it's like the power is like within the feeling. So if you go, I only connect to love and light, but you're fucking scared and you're freaking out, you're bringing the energy that you're feeling. So it's like, it has to be in alignment. You have to be like, you have to like feel love within your heart. Because if you're like, I'm scared. But you're like, I only connect to divine love and light. I only connect to divine. It's like they don't speak English. They speak energy. Right. So they're like, I'm attached to the energy that you are, not what you say. So, but still say it, but along with the fucking energy. Yeah. But that happened to me before a long time ago when I did acid. And I felt this like energy. I felt like the low frequency, and I could like start to see like demons and stuff. And they were telling me, they're like, well, like, it's not fair because like everybody just says that they're like love and light, and like nobody helps us though. So it's like, if you really are this person of light and you really are this person of God, like, why won't you help us? Like, help us. And I was like, oh fuck, like these people are making good points. Like, yeah, like everybody's just like, I'm just with God. Like, I'm just love and light. Like, I don't know, fuck these demons, like whatever. And they're like, we're like the homeless people. Like, you people keep ignoring us. And I was like, oh no, like, damn. And they're like, yeah. And like, everybody's just like scared and they just judge us. Like, we need help. And so I was like, okay, let me help these people, these demons, energies, whatever. And then so I was like, okay, like I'll help. Like I'll be the person to like not just like look past. And then as soon as I was like, okay, I'll help, like I just heard this voice like, haha, got you, bitch. Like, you fucking idiot. Like, and it was like, now try to get up. Like, and it was the same thing. Like, so it's a very, it's a very physical thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I was just going to say, only because I just had a crazy trip. You've told me this story before where I was like, oh wow. But now that I like think about that happening, I'm like, no, like I can like relate to it more.
It's fucking terrifying. And they're like, and they're like, try to get out now, try to go up. And we're saying like, try to go up. It's like, so it can be visual when your eyes are closed, but it's also like that feeling, that sensation. So it's like, you feel the enlightenment, you feel the oneness, you feel the unity. And then like how she was saying, then you go back to reality and you're like grounded and you're trying to get yourself up in that meditative state where you can
like
feel
floating.
Yeah. And you feel like, whoa, like you're like one with the clouds, you're one with the stars. Like there's no separation. And then when you get back into that like one human, like fucking, okay, I'm just this personal individual. And you're like, okay, I'm trying to meditate and get up. But now that these entities that you invited by being like, I'll help you. That's permission. And then they're like, haha, now you can't go anywhere. And I was like, fuck. And then I start to get scared because now I'm like, fuck. So now I'm just amplifying fear. And now that's what they fuel off of. They feed off of that. They don't eat food. Like they fuel off of energy. So they create chaos in this fucking planet, and they create these matrix nets, and they just, constantly put humans through like fear. This sounds like really conspiracy shit. People are like, oh my God, you're crazy. But it really is what it is.
You guys, if you eat 4 grams of shrooms, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Man, it was not 1 gram. It was definitely 2 per. Okay,
yeah. Cool. But it's like, go to the space and let me know. Like, you can talk to these energies. And it's just like, like we can't see oxygen, but it's like, it's there. And it's the same thing with like different things of like different realms or different dimensions. It's like, it is like, it's just energy. And so like this energy can create consciousness, just like human beings can create consciousness, plants can create consciousness, animals have consciousness. So these energetic things in other dimensions, and dimensions is just like a different perception of the same thing that we're witnessing. Like they have consciousness as well. And as soon as you get into like an altered brain state, you can communicate with it. And just like birds, I'm sure, might be able to communicate with a fucking plant or whatever. We start to be able to like interspecies connect or whatever the fuck it is. And these motherfuckers, because they fuel, again, off of emotion, they're going to try to get fear out of you. They're going to try to get emotion out of you because that's how they expand. That's how they grow. That's how they evolve. And so if they constantly keep us in a state like that, then they have a constant source of fuel. And so it's your responsibility that anytime you alter your consciousness, that you have that awareness so you can be like, hey, whether I believe in this shit or not, I might as well just protect myself and be like, hey, I'm only connected to divine love and divine light. And if you start to feel someone like, oh, tricking you, like how I got out of it was like, okay, like I kept trying to fucking meditate and I kept seeing these demons, like full on fucking demons. And I was like, oh God. And they're like, you're never gonna get out. You're never gonna get out. Like you have to stay here now. Like you're at the bottom. Like I had to like, and I was like, oh fuck, like I fucked up. And then I was just like, no, like I have to keep like feeling love. I have to keep feeling love. Yeah. And I was visually like seeing myself. Like, have you ever seen that one Batman, the one with Bane in it? And he's like trying to crawl out of that fucking hole. Like I was visually seeing myself crawl out of this hole and these like demons like trying to like keep me down. And I kept like having to like feel like love in my soul. And it wasn't about like what I was saying. It was like feeling it in my heart. And then it was just like, don't ever help. Like if you're trying to get to love and light and you're trying to get to unity, like it does not matter if something else needs your help. Like you're trying to get into love and light. Like, why would you let something else distract you? Like, why would you let something else like tell you or like detour you off of like, you can't help anybody if you can't be connected to love and light to begin with. So it's like, if you're not already connected, who are you to help them to begin with?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And that was just like when I learned my lesson where I was like, in life too, where it's like, hey, if I am not whole, if I'm not operating from a space of abundance, if I'm not operating like off of something that I have where it's not going to hurt me, or I'm not making a self-sacrifice, or I'm not making a decision that like alters like my life, like to benefit myself, then that means that I am serving lower frequency and destroying myself.
Yeah. You know what's weird, because you're saying that and lowering yourself, like on the dance floor, it was almost like it foreshadowed it. We were on the dance floor and me and Alexa were like trying to get the party started. Yeah. And this girl, she was a really fun dancer, and then I got really fucking
competitive.
Into the
I was
music.
like competitive.
No, we were all dancing and I was like moving very fast, and so was my mom. So it's like clearly in our body. Like we were like, Yeah. And then she came up to me and she goes, hey, because I was probably getting in my shroom zone. She goes, hey, slow down. You got to slow down and get on our page. Get on our page. And I was like, oh, she's like, we can't keep up with you. I know. And I was like, and I went, that's weird. Isn't that weird?
What the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean slow down?
I know.
We can't keep, bitch, like, unless like you look like you were hurting yourself.
No, she's like, get in our groove. We can't keep up with you.
What a controlling
Isn't
bitch.
That crazy? But at the time, I was like, oh my God, okay. And then I slowed, she's like, yeah, that's it. Like us. And I was like, okay. And then later on, because then my mom comes up fucking, and my mom doesn't give a fuck about anybody. Yeah. And then I realized, I was like, wait, you know how we talk about dimming our
dimming your
light.
light.
I was like, she was dimming my light. Like, why did she tell me to slow down? But that was
I
foreshadowing.
don't care if you were dancing like a fucking idiot. You don't ever tell me how to dance.
How to dance.
And
to
don't
get
ever
on
say
our
like
level.
us and get on our level.
Get on our level, because we were all like being girls in a group dancing.
Yeah.
But I don't need to slow down for anybody.
Yeah, you can
but I
fucking
let
cha-cha
that
dance.
take over,
Yeah.
and then I learned I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But it kind of foreshadowed because I surrendered to the demons.
Right.
But my question is then, when you have that stomach pain,
Mm-hmm.
how to overcome it, but also when there were things coming up, like I remember these two guys from middle school, and I hadn't thought about them in so long. And then I'm like, does that mean that I have something to work through with them? Or when you go through this process and things come up, because I was trying to like transmute, and Monarey will say like, just picture it like transforming into love. And so when things come up like that, those two guys, I was like, do I have a deeper something I need to work on with them? Or like,
I don't necessarily, I mean, you'd have to tell me like what you saw more, but sometimes again, because remember, like it's kind of, you know, when you're playing Pictionary and it's like, you just have to like draw an image to like get them to like get a phrase, if that's Pictionary, whatever the thing is, cranium, whatever the game is.
That's Pictionary.
Yeah, you're trying to like draw a picture to get them to guess a clue, like a movie, and you're like, oh, I would have drew this. Well, I would have drew that.
Yeah.
So you're kind of playing a game of like cranium or Pictionary with your spirit guides, where they're like, where now the lesson could have been like, okay, what were the two kids in middle school? Like what's the two commonality between those two kids? Like,
They were two white guys, but dressed like
As black
rappers,
people?
like black
Yeah.
people. They were jocks. They were part of my friend group, and I think I was friends with the one guy. I was friends with the one guy at first, and then he kind of like trickled off and stopped being friends with me because like he became cool. And then the other one, I think I had a crush on at the beginning, but then he never talked to me, so then he made me feel like insignificant.
okay, so it feels like the common theme for those two relationships were people who made you feel insignificant or whatever.
Yeah.
And don't think it's a coincidence that like they showed like, it's weird because it's like they showed the rappers and then being like, hey, you're one of us, we accept you. And then the two people you saw were the middle school of like the white kids who like wanted to be rappers or like wanted to be like that part of the lifestyle. So to me, like I would think it would like symbolize like, hey, like it's your character, it's your integrity that like you're connected and you're aligned. Like it's not about like you're not going to get the approval of like people. Like you're connected to God, like you're connected to light. So it's like, who cares about those phonies like not accepting you? Like you actually got you got the real rappers and these fake rappers. You know what I mean? These wannabes are like, hey, and it's like you're like this is my interpretation, but that's kind of like you in comedy, where it's like sometimes you like worry about the approval of people who it's like, hey, these motherfuckers are bad people. They're not good people, like whether it's certain bookers or whatever. And you're like, yes, she's the person, he or she is the person who has the throne that has the power. But like you really have the power because the people who are actually of this culture, the people who are actually doing this art form, or the people who are actually like real ones already have your back. So it's like,
very symbolic.
Very symbolic. So it's like a lot of the times now she could have been like, wait, but then like, why wouldn't you just show the bookers? Why wouldn't you just show? They're like, bitch, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to like just send you images. Like, 'cause there's tons of times where like, I remember I kept seeing like 3 golden shoes and I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, like shoes are gold. Like, oh, you walk the golden path. Like it took me forever to figure out. And it came from a phrase. Like there's it's like, I think it's called 3 feet from gold, like meaning that like you're almost at the finish line.
I
like
just got goosebumps.
Yeah. So it's like sometimes you have to unpack and you have to do homework, but treat it like that. Like treat it like your spirit guides. You're like, okay. And sometimes just ask for more clarity. Go like, hey, I'm not real. This isn't clicking. Like, can I have another clue? Can I have another image? Can I have another auditory? Like, can you give me something? And it's like, they'll try, you know what I mean? Like, but they're just trying to give you clues to be like, I think that's your thing to work through of like, it's a comedy thing and they were symbolizing it through music and through.
Because then later on though, this guy Drew ended up going to my university and he was a dud. Like he didn't, I came out
you
on
wanted
top.
approval for this person who wasn't really the real thing.
And then I had the best time and then I surpassed him. Yeah, true. Oh my God.
So that's a lot of like, what you're experiencing now. Like there's people who are like, they're not bugging me, or oh, they don't like me, like oh, this person, and they're like, bitch, you got us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We the real
yeah.
ones. Like you
Yeah.
saw Tupac and Biggie. Like you're like,
Yeah.
hello. Like,
Yeah.
hello. If you like rap, those are the two people that like, you don't need nobody else.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It's like the egos though that make me feel insignificant. It's not even like I want to be friends with these guys. It was that they made me feel they took away from my
For
insignificance.
sure, but they're telling you they don't take away from
yes,
it.
yeah.
You are allowing them to take away from it.
Yes, just like I let the fucking demons come. And then what do? Do you just have to accept the pain? If people go through this and they have like the pain, do you just have to sit through the fucking nausea?
Yeah, you do. It sucks, but
sucks.
there are ways to get through it. Like if you take shrooms, taking like vitamin C, like really helps like the acid in your stomach. Taking it with like a certain food or not eating anything at all. But most likely, unless you're a person that like you've been fasting, like the technical way to take shrooms is like you're supposed to like fast for like a week. Like you're supposed to only be eating like raw organic foods because you're going to go through like an elimination.
Oh, so it'll be less painful.
Yeah, it'll be less painful. And if you're a person, it's like, you know, you've been eating McDonald's or, you know, you've been eating like regular food, like mushrooms is medicine. So it's the same thing. Like if you're a person and you're sick or whatever, and you first start taking a medicine or you first start eating healthy, most people report like feeling nauseous, like feeling bad, like the medicine's like not helping. And it's because like you have like the block system. And then when the medicine goes through you, it's pushing out all of the junk first. And you're like, it's making me nauseous. It's like, no, it's clearing you out. So
yeah, because I had eaten really healthy because I was sick, but it was probably the sickness that I was going through.
But try like when it's hard because it is painful. Like one time, like when I did shrooms, I was like, woof, like I was throwing up and shitting. Oh yeah.
For how long?
For like the first like 2 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had it was a trip for 8 hours. I did 3.5 grams and it was like whatever. But my point was like at first I was so nauseous and I was so sick and I could not get through this trip for the first 4 hours, but it was like a thing of where it's like, as soon as I started like appreciating like what the shrooms were doing, where I was like, oh, it's taking poison out of my body instead of I was turning on the shrooms like, oh, this is terrible. Like I hate shrooms. Like this is like, oh, this is the worst. Like, oh, fuck this. I'm never doing this again. And then they're like, bitch, we're helping you. What the fuck? Like, and it doesn't mean that it's gonna like, it's like birth. You're not going to be like, hey, never having a kid ever again. It's like, hey, this is the system. This is the process. If you want to bring this human being like into this world, you can get an epidural. You can get a C-section. There's like things that you can do, but giving birth is a fucking process, and altering your consciousness is a process, and ascending into like your highest form and spirituality is part of the process. And unless you're a person that's constantly healthy and like, you know, you never get sick, whatever, it's like sometimes you're going to get a little sick because we live in a very poisonous world. And so you have to appreciate it as just part of the process.
Okay.
Doesn't happen. But next time, try vitamin C with it.
Yeah. And also it's hard with chocolates because you don't know how much.
Right.
But then the next day it was 9 a.m. and like, I remember hearing the birds and being like, oh, fuck, the birds are up. We're up. It's morning time, isn't it? Yeah. But I was also like, hi, birds, but also
hi, birds. Good job. Yeah.
Hi, birds. I went through like so many meditations. I put on like 888 frequency. Yeah. Then at 8 o'clock, I finally felt it like get in my lower gut and then just settle. And I was like, that was the most fucked up, like just feeling it go through. But then I couldn't eat and I was so tired. I couldn't sleep. And it was a rough day. And then yesterday was the day after. And I was just very like, I'm like, I don't know if I feel cleansed, but I just feel like, okay, love. But also appreciating, I really actually appreciated my parents, like my mom and Nick. I was like, I was such a good, but I was like, oh my God, like I'm so lucky. I have a good, they took care of me and like babied me instead of, and also because when I was a kid, they would punish me, but this time they're like, you're a fucking freak.
You're married. Yeah, you're an adult.
Yeah. And so there was like a bright side, and I was like, so that's why I was trying to figure out with the trip. I'm like, is it the insecurities or is it that or is it all of it? Yeah. And do you ever fucking do it again? Because it's so scary.
Yeah, I think that psychedelics are definitely a necessary like part of like your own personal evolution. Now, does it mean everybody has to do it? You can have psychedelic experiences through breath work. So it's like you don't have to necessarily do psychedelics, but because of like the society that we live in, you could do it through meditation too. You're going to sit there and meditate for 8 hours, or you're going to be like, let me take some shrooms. So
Yeah, I'll take some shrooms.
monks can get into that same space with no fucking drugs. So it's like, it's a thing where it's like, I think that it's humans have developed a system to where like we can alter our consciousness in a faster, more effective way. And I think that it is necessary for human beings to do. And you can see it as like a seasonal thing, or you can see it as a once a year thing. You could do it on your birthday or whatever. But I think that if you're a person who wants to heal, if you want to self-evolve, if you want to experience like, you know, higher states of consciousness, or you want to work through some things, I think that it's really important to do, but just like know what you're getting yourself into and set yourself up for success. Like I always say that like shrooms or acid is like doing 12 years of therapy in like 8 hours. So you wouldn't do therapy at a party, just like sometimes you can't take a high amount of psychedelics at a party because now you're also consuming all those other people's
energy.
energies.
Yeah, I think that if I had been around my friends, it would be way different.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and it was
or
that
by yourself.
It was that roller coaster of like being around good people than not. And it's funny because Alexis said the same thing where she was like my friend did them and she was like, it was a weird, like it was like you'd go into a darkness and come out. So I'm like, maybe there are some kinds of shrooms that like just take you
for sure
on a
but shrooms will just show you like what is.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe it was
and so a lot of the times like human beings, like a lot of people are especially in Los Angeles, like a lot of people are jaded, a lot of people are jealous, a lot of people are failing, a lot of people are competitive, they're down, like that's a lot of energy that we normally can just ignore because like again, we're all thinking about ourselves and we're just like, hey, let's go dance, let's go have fun, like let's eat food. But when you alter your brain waves, that's all you're doing. And it's like scientific, like they've measured drugs and like how it changes your brain waves. So it just gets it into a receptive state, meaning it's just sharpening your antenna. So now you could pick up all the energy and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And if you're not ready for it and you have a lot of things to purge or you have things to work through, doing it in that state is fucking terrifying. And so it's like, I would only microdose shrooms in public unless it's all your really good friends.
Yes.
If you take a higher dose of shrooms, really close friends or by yourself.
Yes, I learned my lesson.
Yeah, it's okay. And we all do, but it always like, you know, I always say I'm like, psychedelics are like puzzle pieces where it's like, it's up to you to flip and find the pieces and put it all together and be like, what is the fucking picture? And if you look at it like that, like a bunch of little fucking clues that you're putting together, you're gonna come out on the other side of it and there should be no technical bad trip. But now doesn't mean that you won't have tons of fear, doesn't mean you won't have shit to work through, doesn't mean that like things aren't gonna get scary or emotional. But if you just go in through it like, okay, I'm going on an actual journey and I have to find my puzzle pieces and I have to get to the other side, that is that's your mission. But if a lot of people get to the state when things get scary and they're like, it's the storm, I can't handle it, it's too much, and it's like, all right, you're gonna fall off into the fucking river and die. Like,
yeah, they should have a video game of a shroom trip just to prepare you for it.
yeah
Like
it's
they
intense.
have car racing. It's like, I knew how to make a left-hand turn because of Mario Kart, but like I'd like a shroom trip video game.
Some virtual reality.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably do, but it's like,
you should write one.
Yeah.
If you guys trip too hard, Monterey has a hotline. It's
You're like, here's her phone number. Yeah.
I will say just the last thing, like when we were trying to explain what it's like to go up, I feel like it's like catching a wave. And if you've never surfed, then you won't get it. But it's like when you are in the water and you're floating and then you're going like this and then all of a sudden the wave has you and you're like blissful.
Yeah. And it's hard to catch that fucking wave.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That was the thing. Putting on the frequency, I wasn't getting there, but I was in fear. Now I know, don't be afraid. Just surrender.
It's, easier said than done. And like, sometimes like, people will be like, oh, don't have fear. No, it's like, no. Look at the fear. Like, look at the demon and go, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you got to tell me? But most people are just like, it's scary. It's bad. And it's like, they serve just as much as a purpose as your angels or whatever. Doesn't mean you have to help them. Doesn't mean you need to like go save them. But it's just like, what do you want? What do you need? Like if you're there with them, and you're like, okay. And then when you're in the face of it, you're like, I'm not afraid of you. Like, I know this is just like an unhealed aspect of something that I am, because that's what most of all of our demons are. It's just like a wound. Just like if she fucked up her knee and didn't put a fucking knee brace on, that knee's never gonna be the same. And so on an emotional level, when we don't heal our fucking wounds, they literally like transform into demons, like into ugly low frequency energy that we then perceive as demons, because it's the easiest way for us to interpret based on, again, like our society. We're like, that's a bad thing, but really it's just bad energy.
Yeah, they have to clear.
Trapped energy.
Okay, thank you for educating me on Blissfully Clueless about how to do that next time. I hope this helps some of you. Is your shamanic, those episodes still up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tell them.
Yeah, I have a podcast called The Shamanic, and it's basically where I talk about all this stuff, just like healing, psychedelics, and altering your consciousness, and like how to like work in those fucking fields. And I try to break it down in like a really normal fucking way, so it doesn't sound too woo woo. But yeah, you can check it out, and if you want to dabble with some psychedelics, like you can follow that blueprint.
There you go. Thank you.
What was the ending?
I'll tell you.
Okay, sorry.
Say your Instagram.
Oh, my Instagram is my name at Monarey M. Do you put it up on the little thing so I don't have to spell it?
I can. I will.
Oh yeah, on the YouTube.
I will.
Yeah,
I'll put
it'll
it
be
up.
down below.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, we do have, it's still up, Recovering Toxaholic, if you want to watch more of us. It's on there. Okay, so this is how we end it.
Okay.
And we at the same time go, thank you for watching. Mwah.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
But you have to go, mwah.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, 1,
2, 3.
Thanks you for.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said that. Okay.
You thought
Start
you had
again.
it and you
God damn it. I never could have been an Olsen twin.
Thank you for watching.
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Thank you for watching. Mwah.
Very good.
I'm a good girl. I'm a good girl.